to look at the minor scale. And the minor scale is a great scale that tons of bass lines are composed from, and it's a specific pattern on our bass, just like any of these other scales that we've talked about before. And we're going to start by just looking at our fretting hand, and we're going to look at the fingers on our fretting hand, because if we can use one finger per fret, we always will come up with the minor scale pattern if we use those same fingers. So what I mean by one finger per fret is if I start a pattern or start a bass line or a scale with my index finger on the 3rd fret, and I'm on the 3rd fret of my A string right now, then for this particular exercise or for this particular practice, all the notes on the 3rd fret of these strings I will play with my index finger. All the notes on the 4th fret I'll play with my middle finger. All the notes on the 5th fret I'll play with my ring finger. And then all the notes on the 6th fret I'll play with my pinky. So one finger per fret shape. It works really well as a guideline for remembering different scale shapes or for remembering different bass lines. For this particular scale, though, we're not going to ever use our middle finger, because the shape of the minor scale across 3 strings, in order to play the entire scale 1 octave, or every note of the scale until we get up to our octave, we're going to use, on the lowest string, it's going to be index, ring, pinky. On the middle string, in this case on the D string, it's going to be the same pattern, index, ring, pinky. And then on the highest string, in this case on the G string, it's going to be index and ring. So the pattern again is index, ring, pinky, index, ring, pinky, index, ring. Another way of talking about this sometimes is that we assign numbers to our fingers. Our index is 1, middle is 2, ring is 3, pinky is 4. So in this case, it would be, the pattern would be 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3. So if I do this starting on the 3rd fret of my A string, which is going to be the note C, this would be called the C minor scale. And when I'm playing the C minor scale, I would play index finger on the 3rd fret of A, ring finger on the 5th fret of A, and then pinky on the 6th fret of A. Then I would take those same fingers and I would do those same shapes on the D string. So index on the 3rd fret of D, ring on the 5th fret of D, pinky on the 6th fret of D, and then on the G string it would be index on the 3rd fret of G, and then ring finger on the 5th fret of G. So once again, I'll play it slowly. It's index, ring, pinky, index, ring, pinky, index, ring. That time I played the scale ascending, or going up from the root up to the octave. It's always a good idea to play it backwards as well. So from the octave back down to the root. So we're going to do this a couple times together, and we'll do it slowly. The next concept that we're going to talk about, though, before we do it, is each one of these notes has a specific scale degree number that we want to assign to it. And what that means is that it's a real easy concept. If we start with the lowest sounding note, that's our first scale degree. Next note is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then our octave we could call 8, but we could also say that our octave is 1 again, because the scale starts over again at the octave. So what I mean by that is that right now we're just playing a 1 octave scale up to the octave and then back down again. But this scale exists in multiple octaves below this root here and above this octave here. So for example, I'm not going to spend too much time on this right now because I just want to get the concept of the 1 octave scale. If I wanted to, I could play this scale up another octave, and since I have only the G string to do it on this particular bass, I would have to play all the notes of the scale on the G string at that point. But for now, we're not going to focus on that so much. That'll be another lesson that comes later in time. For now, we're just going to look at the 1 octave scale starting on the 3rd fret of the A string. So let's play it together with the fingering that I had said before of index, ring, pinky, index, ring, pinky, index, ring, or 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3. So before we go any further, let's just back up a second and remember that we assign numbers to our fingers at one point, we have numbers of the frets. This is the 3rd fret, 5th, 6th, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 3rd, 5th. And then also the scale degree numbers. We're assigning scale degree number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the octave. So let's see if we can do it with the scale degree numbers this time, because the importance of the scale degree numbers is that when we go back to recall how to play different bass lines or how to make up bass lines, if I play scale degree 1, 3, 4, 3, or 1, 5, 6, 5, it's going to give me a very specific sound. So let's do the scale forwards and backwards a couple times, and we're going to say the scale degree numbers as we play them. So we're going to start with our index finger on the 1, or another name for this is the root of the scale. And so the root of the scale, or the 1, is going to be based off of the 3rd fret of A. So here's our pulse that we're going to use. This is a slow pulse. This is 40 beats per minute. We're going to play quarter notes. And so at 40 beats per minute, the quarter note would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll count and measure and we'll start. 1, 2, 3, 4. So scale degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then octave or 8. Let's play the octave again. Octave, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then backwards. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so that is the minor scale starting on the 3rd fret of A. This is the note C, so we could say that this is the C minor scale. Another name for the minor scale is the natural minor scale. There are different variations of the minor scale, so this sometimes is called the natural minor scale. Let's try it one more time again, and if you notice that last time when I said the scale degree numbers, I actually tried to sing the notes that I was playing, or the pitches that I was playing. The importance of the scale degree numbers is that the sound of scale degree numbers 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 will always sound the same regardless of wherever we start our scale. And we're going to talk about taking the scale and moving it around a little bit in a second. So let's try it again. We'll say the scale degree numbers as we play it again. I'll count a measure of 4 before we start. We'll play it forwards and backwards, and we will repeat the octave on the way back down. So 2, 3, 4. Here we go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Octave, octave, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's try it again. Except for this time, instead of doing it based off of C, or the 3rd fret of our A string, let's move our hand up 2 frets to the next dot, which would be the 5th fret of the A string. This time, fingering is going to be the exact same. Index, ring, pinky, index, ring, pinky, index, ring. But now, we're starting it on the note D. So this would be the D minor scale. Cool thing about the bass is it's all patterns. If you want to play the E minor scale, start it on E and use the same fingering. If you would like to play the G minor scale, we could also start it on the E string on the 3rd fret, which is the note G. So this time, the scale would go between the E string, A string, and D string, but the same scale, same results. All right, so let's get back to doing it on the 5th fret of the A string, the note D. Let's see if we can do that together. Forwards and backwards, we're going to say the scale degree numbers again, and we'll count and measure before we start. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the D minor scale, forwards and backwards, same fingering, same shapes. All right, sometimes when people learn scales, they just learn to play them forwards and backwards, and then they have trouble applying them to actually making up bass lines and playing something that sounds like music and doesn't just sound like a scale forwards and backwards. So a suggestion with that is now we're going to take 4 scale degrees, and we're just going to maybe pick them randomly. I'll pick a couple patterns for us to do, and we're going to play each scale degree 4 times. So for example, this first pattern, we're going to play scale degree 1, scale degree 5, scale degree 6, and then scale degree 4. And when we do it together, we're going to do it evenly in time. And I'll play it a little bit quicker than we're actually going to play it, and then we'll play it as the same tempo as the drum machine. So it'll sound like this. It'll go, at first we're going to go 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 4, 4, 4, 4, 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 4, 4, 4, 4. So that's our pattern right now, and this is, again, just a kind of a simple way of mixing up the scale degrees and starting to play some bass line ideas using scale degrees in a minor scale. And so you can see why the 1 finger per fret shape is really important to know, and also why the scale degree numbers are really important to know, because if I play my index finger on the root, my ring finger on the next string up will always be the 5. My pinky on the next string up will always be the 6. My index finger on the next string up will always be the 4. So the distance of root 5, root 6, root 4. So let's try that pattern 4 times on the root, or the 1, 4 times on the 5, 4 times on the 6, and then 4 times on the 4. This time maybe instead of quarter notes, we'll try to do eighth notes. So the eighth note pulse is going to be twice as fast as a quarter note, and the eighth notes you can hear are the hi-hat sound on the drum machine. So another way of counting it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's see if we can try to do that, starting on the 5th fret of the A string. So I'll count and measure before we start. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So root, 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 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 4, 4, 4, 4. And if you're a little shy about singing them or saying them out loud, try to say them in your head as you're playing them, because the whole idea is we want to make that association of where the scale degree numbers are and the sound that they create. One more time together. 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 4, 4, 4, 4. So just one pattern idea in this minor scale. I would encourage you to be creative to try your own patterns out. And again, right now we're doing a really straight rhythm with the eighth notes. You could always vary your rhythm. You could always try to do 2 eighth notes on each one. So 1, 1, 5, 5, 6, 6, 4, 4. You could try to just kind of vary it based on, just try to come up with some patterns that sound cool. So maybe I might go like... all different rhythmic variations, but still using the same scale degree numbers. So before we're done with this lesson, let's try a couple of other things. Let's move our scale again. How about this time, let's try to do it on a spot that doesn't start on a dot. I think that one of the things that I always encourage my students to do is challenge yourself to play off the dots also, because if you always play on the dots, when it goes to a scale that's off of a dot, sometimes it's a little bit easier to see. So let's do 2 things. We're going to move this scale to the E string our root is going to be the 4th fret of the E string, so it's going to be in between the 1st and 2nd dot. But then if I keep my 1 finger per fret shape, all the fingering's still going to be the same. It's still going to be index, ring, pinky, index, ring, pinky, index, ring. Or ring, index, pinky, ring, index, pinky, ring, index. And the scale degree numbers are still going to be the same. So if I were real quick to do 1, 5, 6, 4 in this shape, it's still going to give me the same sound relationships, but just in a different key. The note that I'm starting on could be called either G sharp or A flat, depending on what you assign that note to be called. And that gets a little bit more in depth into key signatures, which we're not going to go into because, again, we just want to think about the shape and the sound of the scale degrees within that shape. So how about let's pick a new pattern this time. Why don't we go 1, 8, 7, 5. So our pattern is going to be 1, 1, 1, 1, 8, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7, 7, 5, 5, 5, 5. So let's give that a shot, and we'll do it a few times in a row. And again, we'll do the 8th notes again, so I'll count a measure before we start. And our starting note is the 4th fret of the E string. So we've taken the scale and moved it down 1 string, and we've moved it to a spot that isn't on a dot. So here we go. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And so root or scale degree 1, the octave or the 8, 7, and then the 5. So we'll try that again. We'll go 1, 1, 1, 1, 8, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7, 7, 5, 5, 5, 5 again. So once again, just one more variation on that minor scale. Pretty simple in terms of our rhythm and in terms of our scale degrees. But again, the more you challenge yourself to try different patterns within these scales, the more they're going to become more familiar, the more you're going to discover what you like in the sound of these scales. But the minor scale is a great one to use. It's used in a ton of music, and we'll continue this practice with a little bit more in-depth practice with the minor scale in later lessons. So once again, let's just review real quick on our left hand. If we have 1 finger per fret, the first 3 notes are going to be index, ring, pinky on whatever string we started on. On the next highest string up in sound, it's going to be same pattern, index, ring, pinky. And then on the next highest up in sound, again, it's going to be index, ring. And whenever I talk about moving up or down the strings, it's always about how it sounds. This is the lowest string because it's the lowest sounding. Our E string is the lowest. Our A string would be the next highest, D string would be the next highest, and then G string would be the highest. So this is across 3 strings. It could be started on either the E string or the A string. If we keep 1 finger per fret shape, and we do index, ring, pinky, index, ring, pinky, index, ring. I could start it even all the way up here. Or I could start it down here in between the dots. Or all the way down here. Still going to give us that minor scale shape. All right, I hope that helps, and see you next time. Thanks a lot.